You're a magnet and don't even realize it. And it's not just spirituality, it also has a scientific basis. Your brain works like a filter. There's something called the reticular activating system, the RAS, and its function is simple: to detect in your environment whatever matches what you constantly think about, what attracts you, what you like, what you think about a lot. That's why when you think about problems, you see more problems. The RAS takes care of it. When you think about opportunities, you start to see opportunities. Your mind, your brain, your RAS takes care of it. It's not magic, it's focus. But here's the part that almost nobody understands. You don't just attract with what you think, you also attract with what you feel. Because every thought generates an emotion, and every emotion changes your internal state. I constantly say that we have to take these laws into account in an uncompromising way. Your internal state shapes your actions, speech, and decisions, which in turn completely changes what you get from life. Here's a simple example. If you walk into a place thinking, I'm really uncomfortable, this is going to go badly, I don't like this place, what happens? Your body closes up, your energy drops, your communication changes. And without realizing it, what happens? You end up causing exactly what you fear, what worries you. But if you go in thinking something good could happen here, then your attitude gets better, your presence gets better, your energy gets better, and suddenly things start to flow. So, it's not that life is punishing you, it's that you're sending out a signal, and life is responding to the signal you send out. That's why it's very important. Well, you also have to keep in mind that when you feel negative things, you manifest them much faster than the positive ones. I'm going to give you another practical tip. You can't control everything that happens to you, but you can choose. Pay attention, you choose. You can choose what you think about most of the time. You can choose which emotions you hold on to. You can choose what you decide to focus on each day. This is very important because in the end you become what you repeat internally, and that ends up being reflected on the outside. So remember this, you are not a victim of life, you are a magnet, you are a walking magnet, you are a living magnet, you are a magnet with legs. What you attract begins within you. We harvest what we cultivate, and we cultivate what we think. So write in the comments, I choose to cultivate consciously, because that way you will reap something better. The 10-minute technique by Joe Dispenza. If right now your mind won't stop, if right now you feel like everything is too much, if you have a problem that's really worrying you, listen to what I'm about to tell you before you make a bad decision. Because when you're overwhelmed, you don't need to think more, you need to think better. And for that, there's something very simple but incredibly powerful that Joe Dispenza gives us, which is called the 10-minute technique. No magic, no mysticism, just clarity. Step number 1. 10 minutes of absolute silence. Just that. Sit down, breathe, no phone, no distractions. Step number 2. Without trying to solve anything. Because the problem isn't that you don't have answers to your problem, but rather that the mental noise doesn't let you see them, doesn't let you hear and feel the answers to your problem. When you lower the noise, clarity appears on its own. Step number 2, ask yourself this question. What is really happening right now? Don't dramatize, don't blame, don't exaggerate. Because many times you're not upset because of what happens. You're upset because of the story you're telling yourself about what happens. It's because of your interpretation. And this question is going to break that story. Step number 3. Now ask yourself, what can I control today, right now? Today, not tomorrow. Now, not when everything is perfect, but today. And here comes the important part. You don't need to do 10 things, just 1 or 2 real and simple actions. Step 4, take a step, take action. It won't be the perfect step, it won't be the ideal step. However, take one. Even if it's small, do the easiest one. Because a small action breaks mental paralysis, and suddenly something incredible happens. The problem doesn't disappear, but it stops dominating you. You're no longer trapped in the emotion. Now you're in control. You're moving forward. Because in the end, it's not the situation that blocks you, it's the chaos in your mind. And when you do what Joe Dispenza is telling you, you return to the present, regain clarity, and start moving forward again. Write in the comments, today I choose clarity. The universe is an algorithm. Hack it like this in 3 steps. The universe works like this, just as I'm telling you. The universe works like an algorithm. Just like Instagram or just like TikTok. What happens on these social networks and in the universe? You log on, you look at certain content, you get emotionally hooked, and then the platform says, perfect, I'll give you more of that. The algorithm finds what you like and gives you more. Well, something similar happens with your life. What you observe, what you repeat, what you feel, and what you focus on becomes the instruction you give to your reality, to the universe. If every day you look at your bank account with fear, if you repeat things like money is hard to come by, if you obsess over what's missing, with what you don't have, with what makes you suffer, if you focus on the problem, the algorithm of your mind and your life, how does it interpret that? Well, I'm going to give you more of this because this is what you want to see more of. The algorithm says this is what you want, so it gives you more content like that in your life. And then your patterns repeat. Your patterns of more scarcity, more anxiety, and more proof of the same thing repeat. But here's the hack I'm going to leave you with today. Stop using your current reality as the absolute truth. What you see in front of you today is not a final verdict. It's just the echo of a past energy, something you planted and are now harvesting. And if it was created by you at an earlier moment, by a previous energy of yours, you can also change it with new energy. So how do you hack the algorithm of the universe? Point 1. Change what you think. Stop saying, this always happens to me, and start saying, this can change. Point 2. Change what you feel. Don't wait for the result to feel peace, abundance, or confidence. Feel now what you think you'll feel when you already have what you want or the life you want to live. Change your focus. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you focus on most. And here is the final key. What you focus on expands. If you focus on lack, you feed it. If you focus on possibility, you activate it. Start programming the algorithm with awareness instead of fear. Because your life isn't punishing you. Your life is responding to what you pay attention to. It's like the algorithms on Instagram and TikTok. Write this phrase in the comments. I program my reality. Put your feet on sea salt for 10 minutes and observe what happens in your brain. I'm going to tell you some scientific facts. Sit for 10 minutes with your bare feet on sea salt. It may seem like a simple gesture, but your nervous system interprets it as something much, much deeper. Why? Because your feet have more than 7,000 nerve endings connected to the brain. That's why reflexology or sensory physiotherapy use stimulation of the sole of the foot to activate the nervous system. When you rest your feet on an intense texture like coarse salt, something very interesting happens. The brain receives a flood of new sensory signals. And when the brain receives intense and different tactile stimuli, what neuroscientists call an interruption in the cognitive pattern occurs. That is, the cycle of stress, worry, and mental rumination will be momentarily interrupted, which is great for you and is very good for you for many reasons. So your brain will stop thinking about problems because it has to process the sensation in your body, your feet touching the salt. Besides being a new experience, this type of stimulation also activates areas of the somatosensory cortex and can promote the activation of the parasympathetic nervous system. Simple translation. The body's mode shifts from stress to recovery, toward confidence, toward calm. That's why many people feel a deep sense of calm after doing this exercise for a few minutes, as if they had mentally disconnected. Remember that sea salt is one of the purest elements in nature and has been used since ancient times to absorb heavy energies and restore the body's energetic balance. That's why direct contact of your feet with the salt enhances the effect of this exercise. That combination is wonderful. Sometimes the body doesn't need motivation, it just needs presence, and this exercise will reconnect you. Write this phrase in the comments as a reminder. I return to the present. Write this phrase in the comments that really fits this exercise. I return to the present. I remind you that my job is to share information about conscious wealth with you, and this energy exercise works better if you set a specific intention before starting it. When your life falls apart, where do you go? Understanding what's happening can change how you see your life. This is also called right perception. And when this happens, when you have right perception, when you are aligned with the truth, your life can get better. When it feels like everything is falling apart, it's actually coming together. This is true. That moment when you feel like everything is going wrong, relationships falling apart, work not working out, doubts, fear, all of that is not the end. All of that is a transition. Your mind interprets it as loss, as chaos, as suffering, but many times it's space that's being created because you can't build a new life on a structure that no longer serves you on your dysfunctional past. And here's the important part. The problem isn't what's happening to you. The problem is the meaning you give it. For example, if you think, this is a sign that everything is going wrong, then your body goes into a state of fear. But if you decide to think that this is the truth, this is happening because something better is coming, then your energy changes and you start to act differently and you start to see it differently, and time and space open up for positive change. So, the right perspective changes everything, because life doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to where you're coming from and how you feel. When you act from fear, you block yourself. When you act from trust, you move forward. That's why there's a key that separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. Here's the really important key. Those who grow trust even when they don't understand what's happening or why it's happening. They keep moving forward even when they can't see the result. And not because they're naive, but because they've decided not to give up. So, if right now you feel like your life is coming apart, take a breath. Because maybe your life isn't falling apart. Maybe it's reorganizing itself for your next level. You need to understand this. Write it in the comments. I trust the process. Without confidence, you won't get anywhere. But to have confidence, it's also good to know that you're on the right path. If you want to have the knowledge to know that you're on the right track, my book will give you a lot of insight into that. Read my book, Manual of Conscious Wealth, and I guarantee that you'll live better each year than the year before. 8 types of people who will succeed in 2026. Group number 1. They are able to make a fool of themselves without fear because they understand that growing sometimes hurts, but staying the same hurts even more. In other words, they have also somehow overcome their fear of rejection. Group 2. They care for their bodies, eat well, exercise, and stay active. Because without energy, there is no success. We need energy to live better. Group number 3 of people. They are big dreamers, but they also take action. They don't just live in their minds, they also follow through. Group number 4 of people who are going to succeed in 2026. They plan their day before going to sleep. They don't improvise their life, they design it. Group number 5. They don't argue to be right, they reflect to improve, they learn even when they make mistakes. Group of people number 6. They have people skills. They know how to connect, listen, and add value. Group of people number 7. They act without feeling ready because they know that confidence comes after starting, after taking action. Group number 8. People who manage their emotions. They don't react, they respond. Because the one who masters their mind ends up mastering their life. Write in the comments, I'm ready for my next level. Also write in the comments, 2026 is my year. And if you want to know how to take your life to the next level, it's better to read my book, Manual of Conscious Wealth, which gives you all the keys you need to live each year better than the last. Your life can change faster than you think. You're not years away from changing your life, you're just one energetic decision away. You're not 5 years, 10 or 20 years away. You're not 12 months away from changing your life. You're not even 21 days away from changing your life. You're just one shift in energy away. A lot of people believe that transforming their body, their finances, their love life, or their destiny depends only on time. And not just on time, but on a lot of time. But that's where the mistake is. Because time by itself doesn't change anything. What changes your life is who you are energetically as time goes by. Think about it this way. Approach it like this. There are people who spend 10 years repeating the same patterns, and there are others who, in an instant, make such a strong internal change that their reality starts to reorganize immediately. But why does this happen? Because when your energy changes, your perception changes, and when your perception changes, your decisions change. And when you change your decisions, your life changes. What we manifest is according to our identity. What we have reflects who we are. So a change in thinking is extremely important. The problem is that many people want a new reality, but they keep feeling, thinking, and acting like their old self. They want abundance, but they keep focusing on scarcity. They want love, but they keep vibrating in a state of lack. They want peace, but they keep looking for proof outside to feel good inside. And it doesn't work that way. It works completely the other way around. That's how you're holding yourself back. Because real change begins when you stop using your current reality as permission to feel better. So the question isn't how long it takes for money or love to show up. The right question is how long it takes you to become the person who already holds that new reality you desire. Because when you embody a new identity, when you stop chasing, when you stop doubting, when you stop asking the world and the universe for evidence, that's when everything starts to move. Sometimes it moves very slowly at first and then all of a sudden. So remember this. You're not many years away from your new life. You're just one shift in energy away. A new identity and a new inner decision. You're one thought away from change. If this message resonated with you, my change starts today. Write it down. My change starts today. The universe gave me the secret of life. To make this video for you today, the thought that moved me was this. God loves us very much. How is it possible that He would leave us here on earth without the key to happiness? He gave us many things that we don't control. We didn't choose where we were born, our family, or many circumstances in life, although actually we did. We believe that we didn't. But He did give us power over something. While investigating this, I prayed that it wouldn't be power over our thoughts, since that's very difficult. However, God told me, the secret of life is your thoughts, which are the only thing you have total power over on earth. So I said to Him, God, then teach me how to do it. And so this isn't just spirituality. Science confirms it too. Now you'll understand everything. Neuroscience has shown that our thoughts create neural patterns that directly influence our decisions, our emotions, and our perception of reality. In other words, the quality of your life is deeply influenced by the quality of your thoughts. If your mind lives in fear, scarcity, or frustration, your brain will look for evidence of that. But if you train your mind to focus on opportunities, solutions, and possibilities, your brain starts to see a different world. That's why so many spiritual traditions have been saying the same thing for thousands and thousands of years. Watch your thoughts, or as they also say, are you one thought away from changing your life? Because thoughts turn into emotions, emotions turn into decisions, and decisions turn into your life. Now then, here comes an important challenge. Having better thoughts doesn't happen by chance. It takes training. This is the second secret. First the thoughts, and then you have to train them. Just as you train your body to be healthier, you can also train your mind to have more clarity, more abundance, and more well-being. The third secret is, how do you train this? As you can see, God has told me everything. Well, you train this with 3 very simple habits. Watch what you think. Notice when your mind goes into fear or negativity. Redirect your attention. Focus on solutions, possibilities, and what you want to create. And feed your mind with knowledge, ideas, and conversations that elevate your consciousness. Because a trained mind is like a muscle. The more you work it, the stronger it becomes. So remember this, the universe and God have already given you your thoughts. The question now is, are you training your mind, or are you letting your mind do any crazy biological thing that doesn't serve you? Make money chase you. Today I'm going to talk to you about the hidden power of magnetic distance. I'm going to share something few understand about wealth. If you chase money with anxiety, money moves away from you. In fact, the word anxiety has a negative effect on everything. Anxious attachment, anxiety in relationships, with money, with family, with your partner, with everything. The word anxiety clouds everything and ruins everything. So what I'm going to talk to you about today isn't mystical. What I'm going to talk to you about today is psychological and scientific. Consider this image. If you constantly pursue someone, you suffocate them and they'll eventually resent you. But if you create a little space, something very human is triggered, which is the desire not to lose. When we create space, a bond appears. Robert Greene, the famous writer, explains it in the context of seduction. But this applies to money as well. When you chase with neediness, you become predictable, you feel urgency, reactive, and from that energy, you make bad decisions. With neediness and urgency, you're headed in the wrong direction. You act on impulse, get into odd situations, accept any offer, and sell yourself short. On the other hand, wealth operates by a brutal rule. Money chases those who don't need it to validate themselves. It chases those who have purpose, standards, and calm. So here's the important shift you need to make. It's not about making yourself cold. It's about becoming someone so solid, so focused, and so valuable that the world feels like, I can't let this one get away. How would you start applying this today? First, cut that urgent energy. Every time you say, I need money now, change it to, I'm building value, and money is a consequence and awareness. Point number 2, make access to you scarce, but give abundant value. Don't respond out of need. Respond according to your schedule, your mission, your vision. Point number 3, keep 10% of yourself mysterious. Don't tell everything. Don't explain everything. Let people fill the void with desire. That space is where things land better, where people buy, and where everything connects better. That's the phrase I want to tattoo in your mind today. Anxiety is poverty in the form of an emotion. Calmness is wealth in the form of frequency. Comment in the comments, I don't chase, I attract. And save this video to come back to it when you feel urgency. As I've been telling you lately in many videos, if you want to better understand how the rules of life work so you can play better, and if you want to live each year better than the last, reading my book will help you a lot with this.